Hello, this is Kitty and this is how to sew the tiger. So firstly, included in your kit, amongst other things potentially, there is a sampler with 2 needles, a big one and a small one. And this sampler will teach you how to do the 4 stitches that you need to make this project, which is backstitch, whipped backstitch, chain stitch and satin stitch. So there is a separate video on how to make those stitches and how to finish this sampler, and that video also covers the basics of embroidery, so kind of how to start, how to finish off, how to split your thread, all of that kind of things. So if you haven't watched that video and you're not sure on any of that kind of thing, then maybe go back and watch that video and then come back to this. There is also a spool of thread which is called tester, and this is the thread to make your sampler with. Don't use any of the other threads because then you won't have enough for your piece. There is also an embroidery hoop, a needle threader, your pattern which is printed on linen, this cheat sheet which has got on one side a diagram of the piece and then instructions for each of the elements, so you don't have to keep going back and watching this video. And then on the back it's got some handy tips and tricks, and it also has a key which corresponds to the threads that you get. You'll also need a pair of scissors. Any scissors will do, and that's it. So I would start with the whipped backstitch on this piece, because the whipped backstitch lines will kind of give you the structure, and then you can go and sort of fill everything else in. So basically with whipped backstitch, you start off with just a simple line of backstitch, and then you go back round and wind your thread through all the different stitches to make a line. And you can either do it with one colour, which makes this really bold line, like the border here or the edge of the tiger, or you can do it with 2 colours, which makes this stripy line like this. So basic whipped backstitch is very easy. You just start off with your thread, always separated into 3 strands. Make a knot, thread your needle, and you just want to start off with a basic line of backstitch. The stitches are maybe 1/2 centimetre wide, long. Ooh. If this happens, which is where the thread kind of all gets bunched up, this happens loads. The main thing you have to not do is try and yank the thread through, because that will mean you get a massive knot and you'll have to unpick it and it will just be bad. So just with your hand underneath, just gently pull it back out like that, and then it should come undone. That's really the main thing. If something goes wrong, you have to just try and refrain from yanking it, because that will just make it worse. Okay, imagine I have gone all the way to the end here, and then if you have enough thread, you come back up where you finished like that, and just I'll move this like that, and just wind your needle through to make a bold line. If you're doing a line that's stripy, you would just do this second bit when you whip it in a separate colour. So on the borders it's red and white. You would start with a line of red backstitch and then go back over with the white. And then so when the line stops here for the tail, just go in. So that is your basic line of whip backstitch. I'm going to show you how to do the face of the tiger, which is probably one of the trickiest bits just because it's a bit fiddly. As I said, you just want to start off with a line of backstitch. Because it's quite fiddly, my recommendation would just be to use small stitches, smaller stitches than you would if you were just going in a straight line, because you want to be able to get the curves. Remember, the black lines of the design are permanent. They're printed in ink and they don't wash out like some other embroidery kits. So as much as you can, just try and sew on top of the black lines, because if there's loads of black showing at the end, you might be able to see it. But saying that, if you don't stay on top of the black lines the whole time, literally no one will see. So now we're going to go back round and whip your stitches. So you start off at any point, don't start in the middle of the line, start at the end of the line, and pull your needle through, and then you just want to bring it round like that, going into like the middle part of the stitches and winding it round. This is really straightforward if it's just on a straight line, but once you get up to here, say the ears, bring it through like that, and when you get to a point, just keep going. Always staying in the same direction. So I'm going in to out here. If you put your finger behind the fabric, you can kind of guide your needle to where it wants to go, because something annoying that often happens here is that you get the needle, then you accidentally snag through here and you pull it up, and then it just goes tits up. So you just want to, when you're going over these like really small curves, you just want to be super careful of the direction you're going in. And so here you can see that this line ends. So I'm going to finish that bit, pull it all the way through, and just start again here. Again, this line finishes here, so I'll just put my needle back through there and start again here. So here again, the danger would be to put your needle through here and accidentally get this bit. So you just, with your finger behind the fabric, just push it up so that you're making sure that the needle goes like all the way out. And there you go. That is probably the trickiest bit of the whole thing. So once you've done that, I would go on to the backstitch, which should be a breeze. So in this piece you use backstitch for the writing, the eyes, the inside line of the waves, the claws are each one little backstitch, and these green zigzags. So you already know how to do backstitch from the whipped backstitch, so I won't show you how to do that. When you're doing these green zigzags, I would do 2 stitches per zag. That would be my only tip there. And I will just show you how to do the writing. This was my tester piece that I made, and the writing here was too small, so on your thing the writing was bigger. Probably the only other thing to watch out for in the backstitch is the eyes. The eyes are really quite small and fiddly, so again, like with the face, just use very small stitches for the white outline of the eyes, and then the inside of the eyes, which is blue, reflecting the river, it's literally just 1 or 2 very, very small stitches. So that's how you do that. And then the claws, yeah, it's just 1 little stitch. So I'll just show you how to do the writing. Another thing to remember quickly is that because this is linen, it does fray. I always cut off all the stray threads on the edge of the thing before I pack them, but as you're touching it, you will get these little bits of thread coming off. I always just cut them off when you see them, because they can really easily get tangled in the back of your piece and make knots. So just be vigilant about that. The real tip for the lettering, similarly to the face of the tiger or the claws or anything, is just use small stitches. Oh, again, okay, so this is another knot. It just happens, so don't yank it like that. Just gently pull it like that and it will come undone. So there you go, that's how you do that. So the next stitch to tackle is the satin stitch, which you use for the stripes of the tiger and the petals of the flowers. So the difficulty here is that the stripes are not like an even width, so there are thick bits and thin bits, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward. So I'll just show you how to do a stripe. In fact, I'll show you how to do both, because these actually maybe are trickier than the stripes because they're quite small. So I'll show you how to do both. So the stripes are in orange and the real main thing to remember here is just that you have to sew outside the black line. It's basically like colouring in, but instead of colouring inside the lines, you have to colour outside the lines, because otherwise you'll see the lines. So you just go round and round and round. So there's your first line, and then you basically just go all the way around. It's probably the most time-consuming bit of the piece, but just zone out, watch TV or something. So for the petals of the flowers, which are wood lilies actually, when you're doing like a small pointy shape like this, or like a triangle or something, it's really tricky to start right at the end, because you have to start with a really tiny stitch and it just goes wrong often. So I would suggest that you start at the thickest bit of the shape and then work your way out. These are, because they're so little, these are much harder to get right than the stripes. So, I mean, yeah, if you look at these, the ones that I've done, they're really not like 100% accurate. Yeah, it really doesn't matter, they still sort of look like flowers. I forgot to say also, you use the satin stitch for this big T, and the thing to remember for that is when you're doing your stitches, go horizontally instead of down like that. Otherwise your stitches will be massive and it will just look really loose. The last stitch to show you is chain stitch, perhaps the most technically challenging of all the stitches, which you use for the stems of the lilies and also the top bit of the waves. If you've tried to do chain stitch in your sampler and you hate it, then just do more whipped backstitch in the colours, it will still look good. So with chain stitch, you just come up on the line, go down like that and up like this to make a loop, and that's your first chain link, and then you just keep going all the way around. This is where this unwieldy embroidery stand that I'm using for this video is going to be difficult, because it's much easier if you're just holding the hoop in your hand. And then to finish the line that you're doing, just bring your needle down like that and pull. So that's basically the chain stitch, and there's nothing more difficult than that really. It's all just like slightly curved lines. So hopefully I've gone over everything of how to do this, all the tricky bits. If I haven't, then just email me and I can help you. But good luck. I hope you enjoy stitching.